It's such a delight and privilege to catch up with Dr. Juan Carlos Aragon, popularly known as JC. Thank you so much, JC, for joining me in this conversation.
Oh, thank you, Vinod. Thank you for the opportunity. And it's nice seeing you, even though it's through this virtual connection.
Yeah. And JC, I mean, you're the president of CooperVision Specialty EyeCare. You are an industry veteran of over 36 years, and you've been a leader, in the sector, both for several non-profit as well as profit-based organizations. What do you think is the future of the ophthalmic industry globally?
Well, it's very bright, obviously, and we all know that the ophthalmic industry, defined in this case as those that are involved in developing and manufacturing optical devices for the correction of refractive errors. We are well aware, of course, of the increase in the prevalence and severity of myopia, pediatric myopia, but it goes beyond pediatric myopia in general. And at the other end of the spectrum, as the population continues to age, obviously there is an increase in the prevalence of presbyopia. So one could argue that on both sides of the equation, the market is growing and is projected to grow for many, many, many years to come. So the development of new technologies for myopia management, but also new technologies for presbyopia management, is something that the ophthalmic industry is very much committed to.
And JC, you currently chair the Optometry Giving Site Board, and you've been involved with them ever since it was started. So could you talk a little bit in terms of what it does and what impact it has had globally, and what does the future for OGS look like?
Sure. Optometry Giving Site established, over 15 years ago. I actually lost count, and of course, established by our mutual friend Brian Holden. And Optometry Giving Site is unique in its approach, although we are aware of over 600 million people that are functionally blind or visually disabled because they don't have access to a simple eye examination and glasses. The reality is that the approach that we have been following for many years, trying to mitigate this problem, has somewhat failed. And although progress is being made, I don't believe, and OGS does not believe, that we're not going to really be able to address the root causes of this visual disability unless we build the human resources around the world so these services are provided locally and not dependent on international missions, if you will, to fly in, provide visual examinations, and fly out. Optometry Giving Site has as its primary objective the international development of optometry. And what that means is that we fund primarily initiatives that are aimed at the establishment of optometric education in countries around the world where it does not exist. We can't do it alone. It needs to be a broad group of organizations that are involved. Progress has been made. Yes, it has, but clearly we have a long ways to go. My objective has always been that Optometry Giving Site would no longer be necessary in 20, 30 years. I don't think that objective will be accomplished, but I am hopeful that we will continue to make progress in our funding of international optometric initiatives.
And JC, you've done some phenomenal work, in all spheres, right from your role with commercial enterprises such as CooperVision, leading OGS plus a whole range of other initiatives. In spite of all this, there are several people, actually people in billions, who still don't have access to eye care services. Basically, if they need access to a pair of spectacles, they're still struggling to get access to that. Where do you see them going over the next decade?
Yeah, and it's a shame. It's a huge public health problem, and we throw out different numbers. 600 million, 2 billion. Going back to the first question, Vinod, the ophthalmic industry focuses primarily on the developed world or on the developing world, markets within the developing world that are commercially viable. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people in the developing world, but also in the developed world, that don't have access to primary eye care. Multiple organizations are now involved, some of them under the umbrella of the International Agency for the Prevention of Blindness, that are working independently but together under a coalition trying to move the needle in the right direction. The problem will never go away, and we're talking about the increase in prevalence of myopia primarily as a first world problem, but we can't ignore the reality that it is also occurring in the developing world. So the problem will not be resolved, but the IAPB has established a new initiative focused on the year 2030 with concrete objectives that we hope we can accomplish over the next 10 years. And Optometry Giving Sight supports those initiatives. CooperVision, as a global patron of IAPB, also supports those initiatives. So, we are confident, we are optimistic that we will continue to make progress. And Vino, don't forget that just a few years ago, undercorrected refractive error wasn't even recognized as a healthcare problem by the World Health Organization. It was thanks to the work of Brian Holden, I think it was back in 2005, 2006, where finally the WHO recognized that uncorrected refractive error was a public health issue that needed to be dealt with as such. So, long way to go. Progress is being made, but we need to continue to work together under coalitions, either formal or informal, to make sure that the needle continues to move in that right direction.
Thank you so much, JC, for your time. Thanks for all the great work you're doing, and look forward to keeping in touch with you.
Thank you, Vinod, and thank you for the opportunity, and hello to all of my friends in India. Thank you very much.